Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the auction house. We're going to talk about how the system is currently set up, some changes that have happened in the past, and some overall tips to help you make more gold and just more sales. Now, a full heads up, this video is dedicated to the more beginner gold makers, whether you've taken a break from WoW and you've just come back, or let's say you're just getting serious about gold making, this video is targeted for you. Now, I highly recommend everybody to stay. You might learn something that you didn't know, but I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there, and without further ado, let's get started. And up first, the auction house is currently cross-faction. Now, this probably seems like a no-brainer to a lot of people, but if you are a long-term WoW player, at some point in time, you probably remember somebody saying, hey, you need to go to Booty Bay to access the neutral auction house. And this just no longer exists. If you go to the auction house in Valdrakken, go to the auction house in Orgrimmar, Stormwind, Booty Bay, etc., it is all the same auction house. So if you're a long-term player, you no longer have to worry about going to a specific auction house to reach the most players or get the most sales. They're all the same. Secondly, a more recent change that happened at the end of Shadowlands that is very, very important is that part of the auction house is now region-wide. What I mean by this is, let's say you post a potion on Area 52 NA, somebody on Illidan NA can buy that potion from you. In the past, this did not exist. You know, realms were separated, but this was a major change at the end of Shadowlands. Now, this is only part of the auction house, and the easiest way to remember is that if the item stacks, it's region-wide. So that's like materials, potions, food items, etc. However, if the item doesn't stack, that is still server-side or server-specific. So a mount, armor, weapons, even bags, pets, anything that doesn't stack is still server dependent. And just in case you ever forget and need a reminder, the UI of the auction house actually gives you a hint on what items are region-wide and which ones aren't. For example, let's say we go and look up, let's just say vibrant shards, a very common stackable material. If we click on it, as you will see, we will see a vertical list. This right here indicates that this item is region-wide. Also, let's say if we wanted to buy, this 127 right here, we couldn't, we would have to buy everything ahead of it. So there's no picking or choosing. However, let's say we go into profession equipment and let's buy some tailoring items, and let's say we just want to buy this tailoring cloak. We click right here, and as you can see, we see a horizontal list with each individual auction. This right here indicates that it is server specific. And if I was highlighting through and let's say I wanted to buy this overpriced, 9.9 thousand, nothing is stopping me. I can click it, hit buy out, and purchase it if I want. So if you're ever not sure exactly what items are region-wide, which ones are server-specific, if it's horizontal, it's server-specific, and if it's vertical, it's region-wide. Now, before we dive into the third major change of the auction house, probably the biggest and most important segment of this video, I do want to chime in and quickly mention the auction house cut. Basically, every single time you sell an item, the auction house, Blizzard, the gods, whatever you want to call them, takes 5% of your sales. This doesn't seem like a lot, but this is super important to remember when you're determining profit and when you're ever flipping items on the auction house. Thankfully, if you use add-ons, this is probably calculated for you, but if you ever want a quick representation of how much gold is actually going into your pocket, all you have to do is take the item price, so whatever you're selling it for, multiply it by 0.95, and that's how much gold is going into your pocket. So for example, let's say I sold a piece of armor for 2,500 gold, I multiply that by 0.95, and that leaves me with 2,375 gold in my pocket. Now, like I said, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but depending on what you're doing, it can really change things. For example, if you are just using an add-on like CraftSim, the good news is that CraftSim actually takes into account this 5%. So for example, if your craft sim says, hey, you're making 11 gold profit, that is truly 11 gold profit after the auction house. So in that case, you're fine. But let's say you want to do some market flipping, you have to be careful and make sure you're leaving a high enough margin to actually make profit. Going back to that example, if I sell an item for 2,500 gold, I'm only getting 2,375 gold in my pocket. So if I were to purchase that item at 2,400 gold, on paper it seems like I should make 100 gold profit. That margin is very slim, but after the auction house cut, I am actually losing gold. If I bought it for 2,400, sold it for 2,500, I'm actually losing 25 gold profit. So the auction house cut is extremely important, and definitely when flipping, make sure you remember to take into account that 5%. And with all of those basics out of the way, this is where we talk about the most important gold making strategy called cancel scanning. And the reason why cancel scanning is so important, especially today, is because how the current auction house is set up. We've covered the auction house fee, we've covered, the fact that it's cross-faction, all of that, but the biggest and most important factor of the auction house is that it's currently a last in, first out system. Now, all that means is, let's say I post a potion for 10 gold, and then 5 minutes later, you decide to post that same exact item for 10 gold after me. Because you are the last person to post the item, somebody comes and buys a potion, your potions are bought first, because you're the last one to post, so you're the first one to get a sale. If I wanted to compete with you and I wanted to make sure I am back on top, the only thing I can do is post more potions, so then I am back, I am the last one posted, so there I will get sales before you. And this is exactly why cancel scanning, reposting, undercutting, you've probably heard any of those terms. That is why this is so important. I think the best way to explain this is to actually show you, an example in game. So right here, we're on my auction house toon, and I don't have that much posted. But let's say I wanted to post some of these deviled eggs, so I go ahead and I post them on the auction house. If we go right here, as you guys can see, I'm officially on top. And a big thing to point out is that I posted this at the same exact price as this guy right here. So a major disclaimer is that you no longer have to decrease your price. If you're just matching the cheapest, you will be on top. But if we refresh, boom, right there, I did not even have to wait. Immediately somebody has posted after me. And like I said with the price, this guy posted at 838, I posted at 838, this guy posted at 838, and we're still on top. So undercutting by a specific amount of gold is no longer required. Of course, people do it, and there's reasons why people do it, but it's no longer required to simply be on top. But going on at this point, I have a decision to make. I can either choose, alright, I'm gonna wait for this person's 200 to get sold out, then mine will get purchased, and boom, I make gold. But the issue is, especially with an item like this is the region-wide auction house, so I'm fighting with the whole NA region. And if we reload, as you can see, somebody else has come in and posted 10 more. Of course, that's only 210, but imagine if somebody drops 1,000, that is a lot of eggs before mine. There we go, some just got posted, some just got purchased, and I just missed out on, it seemed like 40 eggs. So the way to compete with this is to simply post more, boom, I posted right there, and now I'm back on top. So now I have to wait and, hopefully somebody will come and purchase while I'm on top, or somebody is going to post after me again, and I have to continue this process. We might get lucky, we might not, but for another example, we can just post up some missives, we'll post 25, and we'll see if we get lucky. And boom, right there, as you guys can see, 60 minutes ago, meaning it's a fresh sale, somebody just bought 200 of our eggs, and somebody just bought a missive. If we go back, as you guys can see, that was purchased. So boom, reposting worked. We got more sales, we just got more, meaning somebody bought a huge batch. But boom, we are making sales because we have been constantly posting. And so immediately you can see that cancel scanning and reposting is important. And so, of course, this brings us to the major topic of sitting on the auction house. Yes, crafting is important because you need items to sell. Yes, farming is important because you need items to sell. But the issue is that if you are not willing to repost, check back in your auctions, you can be losing a ton of sales. For example, these right here are the eggs that I just posted. They've been purchased, but about 30 minutes ago, I posted a stack right here. And those eggs got buried very, very quickly. People are buying our current eggs right now, but somebody would have to buy, over 2,000 eggs to get to my 10 or to get to my 100 eggs right here. And so the longer I wait and let those items sit, the more they're going to get buried and they're probably not going to be purchased. So if you post auctions in the morning and you wait until the next morning, 24 hours later, to get them, who knows, maybe you were only first in line for 5 minutes and the rest of the 23 hours and 55 minutes were pointless because you were never going to get the sale. Now, of course, many people don't want to sit on the auction house for hours upon hours, but even, let's say you are a Mythic Plus player, every 30 minutes, every 2 dungeons, every 1 dungeon, maybe even 3 dungeons, you just check in and you repost your auctions, put them back on top, and you'll receive way more sales. Now, continuing on, there is another important thing that I didn't mention at the beginning because I wanted to show you this first to kind of bring up a point, and this is the fact that deposit cost exists. Right now, it seems super good to constantly repost items. What I should do is go through here, cancel these 100 right here, pick them up if I can, boom, there we go, and throw them back on the auction house to just make sure I get the most sales possible. But if we go and try to post a stack, we do have a deposit cost here. Deposit costs are simply just a fee that you have to pay, and you will either gain it back if the item sells, or you will lose it if the item is either canceled or expired. And the amount that deposit cost is depends on the duration of your auction, so either 12, 24, or 48 hours, and it depends on the vendor price of the item. So this is where you have to be very, very careful with your margins. For example, if I throw up 200 eggs right now, eggs have a vendor sell price of 20 silver, so they're very, very cheap. Throwing them up for 12 hours, it's going to cost me 6 gold. If I post that for 6 gold, watch my gold, my 833 goes down to 827, and if I go through here and then cancel this auction, pick it up from the auction house right here, as you can see, I'm only getting my eggs back. So that 6 gold that I just paid, I'm not getting it because I canceled this item, or if it expired, in 12 hours, same thing. Because it's just 6 gold, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But let's look at a little bit more of an expensive item. This right here, resonant crystals are going for 20 gold a piece if you sell it to a vendor, and so let's just put 200 like before. That 6 gold deposit cost for deviled eggs is now 600 gold for the stack of crystals. So that is a lot more that you're gambling on sales. So this is where kind of tip number 2 comes to play, where I highly recommend to post in smaller stacks. Theoretically, if I wanted to, I could throw up all of the crystals on the auction house, but I would be paying 7.4 thousand gold, and all of those would have to sell without this either expiring or, having to cancel it before it gets buried to make that gold back. That just seems unreasonable, especially with our region-wide market. So what I'm gonna do is maybe I only post 200, it's gonna cost me 600 gold, but hopefully I get some sales. If we click on here, we're up first, boom, we're getting some sales, and hopefully it continues like that. Sometimes I'm lucky, sometimes somebody will bury my auction, but this is where deposit cost comes to play. As there's sales, if we go back to the auction house, I go to the default view just to make it look a bit easier, but right here, as you guys can see, this is a sold stack of 200 crystals. I sold them for 240 gold a piece, so that times 200 is the initial purchase price. However, I get my deposit cost back, so that 600 deposit I get back, but there is that 5% auction house cut. So after all of that is taken into account, 46,000 gold is going into my pocket. So right there you can see the auction house taking part, and also I'm receiving that deposit cost back. And so that just kind of reinforces the point. There's no reason to throw up, 1,500 eggs because I'm going to pay 45,000 or 45 gold, sorry. You know what, I can just do it for the sake of this video. That just costed me 45 gold, and this is going to get buried pretty fast. Granted, it's very early in the day, so there's less people on, but it's unrealistic that I'm going to sell 1,500 eggs before anybody else posts. But yeah, guys, that is kind of how cancel scanning, why cancel scanning is important, and all of that. Now, just to kind of give you a few more tips before I end this video, I want to talk about add-ons. Now, I'm not going to talk about it much and go super in-depth because I don't want this video to be super long, and I apologize about all of the ka-chings going on in the background, but I do want to quickly bring up Auctionator. Firstly, TSM is definitely an option. TSM is great, I do highly recommend it, but that is a pretty complicated add-on, and it can be scary for many beginners. Theoretically, you can do exactly what I've shown in this video by clicking on an item, going here, clicking cancel, and boom, you can go repost. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is just a bit slower because it's a lot of button clicks. However, with Auctionator, of course, you can set up selling and be complicated you like, but if you click on cancel right here, you can quickly click undercut scan, and it'll quickly go through all of your auctions and decide, okay, has this been posted on top of, or, is it still the first on the list? And as you can see, those resonant crystals that we posted just a few seconds ago have been undercut. If you really wanted to see, we could go right here. Thankfully, it's only 8, so I'm probably safe, but boom, right there, somebody just posted 48. So I'd have to decide, okay, do I want to undercut that? Do I want to cancel, etc. But this is showing me that my missives are, undercut. They've been posted on top of, so I can just click on it and they will go to my mailbox. Speaking of bags, they have also been undercut, so I can just cancel those. And, I could technically do the crystals, but I'll probably let them be for just a little bit, etc. But then we just go to the auction house, we just go to the mailbox, click on all canceled, and we can quickly just throw these back on the auction house. Boom, there we go, and we're back to posting and canceling. So if you guys are looking for a faster way to be competitive, because let's face it, the more you cancel scan, the faster you can cancel scan, the more sales you might get, Auctionator is definitely a great beginner add-on. Just checking in, as you guys can see, we did actually sell a majority of those eggs, which is pretty great, but we are now undercut by 300, so yet again, I would have to make the decision, do I want to cancel this or whatever? I do have 70 in my bag, so I'm just going to throw those back on top, and boom, instantly we just sold 40. So I would have missed that 40, egg sale if I didn't post right then. So staying on top of the auction house, making sure you're reposting is super important. But yeah, guys, I think that is everything that I wanted to cover. I can talk about this forever, so I'm going to try to not make this video super long, but this is really it. At the basic level, all you want to do is make sure you stay on top, be the last person to post, so whether you can check in every hour, every 30 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 10 hours, that is better than 12 hours, 24, 48, etc. If you guys are struggling to sell items, it's likely due to this factor right here, especially if it's a high value like material, something like that. There's probably a lot of competition, so stay on it, start canceling, and hopefully you can make some more gold. Just to make sure I hit these topics, remember deposit cost exists, remember for the 5% auction house fee that is taken no matter what, and just to kind of throw in another factor, because you will be canceling, there's no reason to post for more than 12 hours. If we go to 24, the deposit cost just goes up way more, and there's no reason to pay that extra gold unless you seriously can't log in. But still, especially with a material, even if you can't log in for 24 hours, I probably would not pay the extra gold because, by probably hour 3 or something, it's buried so deep, you're not going to get a sale unless the market resets. So just throwing that out there, but everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I hope you were able to learn something from this video. At the end of the day, there is so much I could talk about, so I probably forgot something, so feel free to leave it in the comments down below as well, and let me know if you want to see a more advanced version of this video. I love to show you, my daily routine, things that I do to make more gold, so if you're interested in that, feel free to let me know. But everybody, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day.